Greetings all. Today it's your friendly neighborhood advisor Alexander Quinn here, and I'll be telling you why the rules change around money when you hit $2,000 in savings. All right. So there is a famous advisor named Dave Ramsey who gives the worst advice I've ever seen. However, it is the best advice absolutely for people who do not have $2,000 saved in their account yet, which is probably the typical person in America. So the reason why these rules change. First off is the number amount itself. So when you're saving money, saving anything is better than nothing, and it's nice to have that money on the side so that if your car breaks down, instead of applying for a loan where you lose money from interest or possibly get declined and have trouble getting to work from your car being broken down, etc., risking your job, it's nice to have savings and to put that into a savings account. Once you hit about $2,000, though, you don't want that to be in a savings account. The reason why is because more than $2,000, well, you're losing value from interest or from inflation. So if inflation is, let's say, 6% that year or 10% that year, whatever you want to go by, then you're losing. So 10% of that would be about $200. That's quite a bit of money to lose, and no one wants to pay that to nothing. So it's kind of defeating the purpose at that point. So when you hit 2,000, you want to look at how to invest that. Another reason you want to why investing is a smart idea when it depletes the original purpose of having the savings, which is to have money on hand, is because usually when you invest things, you can pull the money right back out. It depends on what you invest in and what you're doing, etc. But generally, you can use that money. You can get it out quick, or you can leverage it. So if you let's say you invest in a property, you can actually mortgage that property, or you can put a lien on it or put out additional loans or an HOAC, I believe it's called. And when you do that, then you get money off of the value of the item that you have. Or if you use that money to, let's just call a car an investment. It's not really an investment, but I'm having trouble thinking of a better example at the moment. But even if you purchase a car for a couple of grand, you can take out a loan against the car, use the car as collateral, and get a better interest deal because they're going to get their money back, and you definitely will get approved because the car, if you don't pay it, then they get the car, which they can resell to get their money back and get some free money off of you in the process. So usually when you hit about $2,000, you want to change because of the amount. Other considerations, the credit itself. So usually when you're saving up, if you don't have $2,000 in your bank account, then most people, not all, but most people have poor credit. And so saving up is a pretty good idea. When you hit about 2,000, usually people who are responsible enough to save up $2,000 have good credit and are able to make investments, and the investments that they make usually get better interest rates and things like that. So if you have better credit, then you don't need to worry as much about being qualified for loans and such, etc. So just in general, there are multiple meta reasons why saving up to 2,000 is a great idea, and once you have 2,000, it is the worst idea. You really don't need to. The trade-offs are flipped around. Credit score itself also follows similar principles as well. So when you're building your credit to get it to be good, then you want to borrow as little as possible, but keep borrowing consistently. So you will want to get, let's say, like a secure credit card or something like that, borrow as little as possible so that your debt to income ratio is pretty high. It affects the credit score in an interesting way, and your credit builds. However, once you have a good credit score, the rules for that change entirely. Credit scores are based on the average person. It's kind of like AI. It just kind of learns on what people do. And the average person who doesn't spend much but has a lot that they can borrow and aren't borrowing, they usually tend to be successful. So if you do that, then it thinks that you are one of those people and it gives you a higher boost. Once you have a good credit score, you are now a financially responsible person. Financially responsible people fall into different categories from the typical person. So then the algorithm won't boost you higher if it already thinks you're responsible. To show that you're more responsible than them, you have to show that while having good credit, that you actually are using it in particular ways. I won't go into that in this video exactly, but the rules do change, and I experienced it as myself where I kind of plateaued until I borrowed in a different way, and then it jumped by about 100 points per year. So that's some of the main considerations for $2,000 and the rule behind it. yourself, your habits as well. This kind of ties in with the rules that I said already, but your rules, that what you do and how consistent you are, is another good reason why you should respect the rules and how they are. Don't think too far ahead. Just go up to 2000 and then shift what you're doing, because you need to prove to yourself that you really are in one way or another. A lot of us like to think that we're financially responsible, or that we're responsible in general. And that's not to say that you're not, but usually our decisions are weighed more by our scenarios, our conditions, etc. Just the situations that we tend to end up in. And we like to think of ourselves as pretty decent people. Not that we aren't, but situations do cause us to bend what we tend to do. If you would only accept a job under certain conditions, but then you end up being broke and poor, or you have a sick kid, or you have straining medical bills to take care of your grandmother, then you will choose a lesser job to satiate that need under those conditions, just because you need money now, etc. So we do make different decisions for different situations. So when you other considerations for why $2,000 flips around and why it switches is that when you have more money, you can also qualify for better bank accounts. 2,000 isn't the exact limit. There are some accounts that kind of that become available at that amount. Usually 10,000 is a bigger deal and more universal. But when you have thousands of dollars saved up, then you can usually get accounts at other places. Another interesting fact is that even at banks where you are shown all of the options, sometimes they will show you additional options once you show that you are financially savvy. If you are saving 2,000, then they sometimes will offer odd terms like premium accounts, and sometimes they will offer the exact account you have except with the word premium on it. So technically they did show you all of the accounts, but there is a premium version of it, or a premium subcategory of the account that you have, which gets better interest. It's not usually a big deal. Different accounts don't really yield enough to make a huge difference unless you have thousands and thousands of dollars, in which case you'll be looking at different options and hopefully not saving it, hopefully not losing it from uh, inflation, etc. But you do still qualify for those, and that is just another reason why 2,000 is kind of a good goal to hit. Because once you hit 2,000, 4,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, etc., some accounts become more available to you, and they're more likely to give you other things, etc. So to give a little extra bonus tip here, in general, I did mention Dave Ramsey's advice, and I should probably recap what that is. Pretty much, Dave Ramsey's advice is to save until you've got about 2,000. I don't know if his limit, I think, changes over time, but usually he says to save as much as you can, save 2,000, saving little amounts. I do recommend saving little amounts. Don't do too much. It's more important to succeed than to push further, because if you push for what the amounts that you need to, and you try to make big life changes, it doesn't work out too well. It's kind of hard. It's like, where's that money coming from? You have to get a new job, get a raise, etc., typically, to do that suddenly. It's not easy to find where all the cuts are that you can make, but small changes that you succeed at are great. Start with saving $20 per paycheck, or $20 per week or per month. Something where if you don't if you didn't save it, you would think that you were being ridiculous. Start with something like that, and then each time think, how much can I increase this? Can I increase it by $5? Well, yeah, I can increase it by $5, and then just go by that. But prove to yourself that you can do it for a couple of months first. Show the consistency, show the patterns, make the habits, and that'll be better. Because if you save too much and you have to dip into it, once you cross that line, it gets really easy to cross it again and again. You typically don't want to touch your savings unless it's going to make you money somehow by touching that, instead of using funds that you already have available, or making extra cuts, etc. Anyway, hopefully that helps some of you. You take care and have a great day, everybody.